What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Dr. Hummus Tech, and over here finally I have the Redmi Note 10 Pro. So this phone I actually been waiting for it because of the specs and of course for one major thing which we are going to talk about. And I actually do look at Redmi as a market killer, and it's pretty interesting with them because it seems like, you know, the less you pay, you are actually getting more with your phone. So today over here we're going to check out the Redmi Note 10 Pro, and before we go any further, we are going to do an unboxing and just check out what is inside the box. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So yes, the first thing over here that Redmi wants to remind you that you are getting Google Apps right off the box, and of course this is of course a joke to, you know, certain other companies that might not have your Google Apps right off the box. Here is your manual book and of course a case, and yes, we don't see this in other flagship phones as well. Here is the phone which we are going to check out in a little bit. And yes, in 2021 you are still getting a charger if you buy the Redmi Note 10 Pro. This one comes in at 33 watts of charging, so yes, you don't have to worry about charging your phone. So here is it. This is the Redmi Note 10 Pro, and let's just take this one out. Almost dropped it over there. And here is the phone. It does look really nice. And just let me set this up and I'll see you guys in a little bit. So here we have it. This is the Redmi Note 10 Pro, and I gotta say it looks really good. Right now this phone is being sold at about 999 ringgit, so it's about 250 USD, which is an amazing price. It kind of puts it at the entry mid-level range or the high-end entry-level range, and I gotta say, although it's priced at that range, it doesn't really feel very cheap at all. You have a nice, very good glass over here, but of course you can see here you get a lot of fingerprints on the back, but you do have a Corning Gorilla Glass 5 on the back and on the front. So yes, you do have your extra protection, you do have your extra scratch resistance with your glass over here. This was seen on older flagship phones like the Galaxy Note 9, the OnePlus 6. So yes, it is a premium glass, and at this price point again, this is a really amazing glass. And one thing I did really like about this a lot is the fact that this one here, the display is really good. Over here you do have your AMOLED screen at 120 Hz. So I gotta repeat this, this is sold at 250 bucks. And at this price point, you cannot really find any phone offering this 120Hz here with an AMOLED screen. Normally, I would recommend the Poco X3 NFC, which is very similar to this, but that one has an LCD screen. Over here, again, AMOLED screen, which has never been seen on a phone like this. And I gotta say, the display on this is really amazing. Of course, the display does come with 60 Hz right off the box. What you gotta do is go to your display settings. You can, of course, go to your light or dark mode, and more importantly, you go to your refresh rate and of course enable 120 Hz. This of course, it does make your phone feel very smooth, very buttery, and you know, just makes it very fluid, which is something of course everybody would want to use. And don't worry about the battery because this one does come with a 5000 plus battery over here on the inside. So yes, it will give you a lot of battery, and you know, in terms of everyday usage, I think this is really good. So yes, over here as you can see, we do have a dedicated fingerprint scanner on the side. This of course is something we don't see on many other flagship phones nowadays. I do prefer this, to be honest, because you know what, you can have your button over here, you cannot miss it, and it's very easy to access. It is of course very fast. So like, as you can see here, if I just turn this off, click on it, and boom, you are right into your phone. Let's try that again. As you can see there, very fast. Of course, like I said, you won't miss it because it's a dedicated scanner here. You don't have your optical, but you do have your face unlock, which we are going to test out. So yes, I'm going to just lock this up and just turn this on. And as you can see there, it already unlocks. Try this again. And boom, you are right into your phone. So yes, face unlock and your fingerprint unlock is really fast and good on the Redmi Note 10 Pro. And of course, on the back here, you can see your huge camera module. We are going to talk about this in a little bit. I'm just going to leave it to the side. But I gotta say, overall, I'm very impressed with this phone. It does look really good. And for the price again, 250 bucks, I think this is a really good deal. So right off the box, the Redmi Note 10 Pro does ship with your MIUI 12, which is on top of Android 11. And over here, you have your 128 gigs of storage. You have the option of 6 gigs of RAM or 8 gigs of RAM. Over here is the 8 gigs of RAM, so it's a bit pricier at about 1,099 ringgit. If you get the 6 gig RAM, it comes in at about 999 ringgit. So for about 100 ringgit difference, you're going to get 2 gigs of extra RAM, which I think is a good deal. So we're going to talk a little bit more on the MIUI 12. The first thing here is the always on display. So yes, you can enable this on your AMOLED screen. You have a lot of features, and of course you can customize your own image. There's a lot of customization with your Xiaomi devices, which is something I of course do like. It does look really cool, very funky, and if you like a lot of customization, I would say this phone is really good. Next thing here we're going to check out is of course the display, which you can go to light or dark mode, and of course your refresh rate 120Hz or 60Hz. You can of course change your color scheme. You can go for a more saturated look, or of course your standard look, or you can go over here for a more contrasty look, which I think does look really good on the device like this. Nice AMOLED display over here. Next thing over here is this control center style, and this is pretty interesting, and it follows something like the iOS version. So if you kind of like just swipe down over here, you access your quick settings menu, but if you swipe down here, you access another side of it, which is really cool, your notifications and all this other stuff. So yes, it does again offer you more customization than most other Android phones. Next up over here on the home screen, you have two options. You can go for the app drawer or you can go for the classical mode. Of course, for me, I always like to go for the app drawer. I like to keep things on the side. And of course, my main apps would be on my home screen. Next up over here on the additional settings, this is something I do use a lot on my Xiaomi phones. This quick ball feature, which I always enable. So basically, you can just click on this and then you have a few options here, which is really cool. And of course, it does save some space if you do not want to use the buttons on the bottom part of the screen. And the next thing over here is this one-handed mode, which is really interesting because on the Xiaomi device, you have options to go to 4.5, 4 inches or 3.5 inches, something we don't really see on many other Android phones. And next up over here is the special features. So you have your game table in case you're gaming and your floating windows. And something I really do like is the second space. So over here, you can actually change your fingerprint. So just say if you're using another fingerprint or another password, like over here, if just say I go on to swipe up and I just go to another type of passcode unlock, it will go to a second space. So this is like to save you in case if someone else wants to use a phone, or maybe if you're using this for like work and your personal life and you just want to keep it both of them separately. So you can use this second space, which is a really cool feature. The only other phone company that I know does this is OnePlus, which they do have a separate account. And yes, this is really cool because like I said, again, if you want to use it for like your work or personal, you don't have to buy two phones. You can just use one phone with the second space feature on the Redmi Note 10 Pro. And to go back over here, you can use your fingerprint. This is my primary fingerprint. So as you can see here, it goes back to my main account. So the next thing over here is the light mode, and basically it just makes everything a bit more simple. I am of course not going to activate this because if I'm going to activate the light mode, might as well just buy an iPhone. Oh, right, this is pretty cool. Over here on the side, you have your Google Discover feed. Of course, with the Samsung S21 phones, that was an exclusive feature. I do not know why. They should put this on other phones as well. Like, of course, the OnePlus 8 Pro also had that feature, but the other older phones like the OnePlus 7 and OnePlus 6 didn't seem to have that feature. Of course, this is a very common thing to have and actually a very good feature to have, the Google Discover feed. And over here with the Redmi Note 10 Pro, right off the box, you have this, which is really cool. So you can see over here, these are the stuff that I do check out on a daily basis. So yes, MIUI 12 is a very nice Android skin to have. The only thing that a lot of people would worry about is the bloatware over here, and Xiaomi did promise that they will reduce the bloatware over here, and of course you can disable the ads on your phone in these settings, which if you guys want, I will do a separate video. So over on the bottom, you have your stereo speaker setup on the bottom, and on the top and over here on the side, you do have a headphone jack. Again, this is a feature lost on many other flagship phones. Over here on a $250 phone, you do have your headphone jack. So the Redmi Note 10 Pro is IP53 rated, so it is dust and splash resistant. So again, talking about the internal specs, this one comes with your Snapdragon 732. It is of course the mid-range chipset. It's not your 800 series. It's not the highest end 765G, but the 732G is still a very good processor. So in terms of gaming, in terms of Asphalt 9, which doesn't come in your Play Store, you gotta download it separately through like some other means like the App Store or whatever. But in terms of gaming, I do expect this to perform very well in terms of the high settings, even up to maybe an ultra settings. If you guys want to see a gaming test on this, do leave a comment down below. And of course, as I mentioned, this one does come with 6 or 8 gigs of RAM with UFS 2.2 storage. And last thing over here is you do have a micro SD expansion slot. So yes, you can expand your memory on your phone here, which again is not seen on other flagship phones. So lastly, I want to talk about the cameras over here, and on the top, you have your 16 megapixel selfie camera, f2.5, and you can record up to 1080p at 30 FPS. And going on to the back, this is where it gets really insane. You have your 108 megapixel f1.9 sensor with your dual pixel autofocus. You also have your 8 megapixel ultra wide camera, and you have two pretty useless cameras over here. You have your 5 megapixel macro shooter and your 2 megapixel depth camera. So overall, yes, you do have your quad camera setup, and it does have a camera bump which is quite prominent, I would say. Yes, it does have that step over here which would collect some dust, and actually is pretty annoying. You have your flash over here as well. Overall, I gotta say, I do like the design. Yes, of course, with Xiaomi, they're gonna give you a lot of cameras, but like I mentioned, the macro and depth camera, I don't think would make much difference. I will show you some shots that I've taken with the Redmi Note 10 Pro, and I'll just put it side by side with the S21 Ultra. Do leave a comment down below what you guys think about the quality on the Redmi Note 10 Pro. Of course, do check out my Instagram as well, as I'll be taking a lot of shots with the Redmi Note 10 Pro. And of course, not to forget, this one can record up to 4K at 30 FPS. So yes, this is it. This is the Redmi Note 10 Pro. Everything you want to know about this phone. To be honest, this is a good phone that I would highly recommend to a lot of people. The specs and the price on this is just simply amazing. It doesn't really make much sense, but who cares when this phone over here does cost about 250 bucks. This is an amazing deal, and I would say I would recommend this phone to a lot of people. So yes, if you did enjoy this video, do click the like and smash that subscribe button down below for more videos like this in the future. Do also follow me on my socials as well on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and also here on YouTube at Dr. Hummus Tech. So that is it. This is Dr. Hummus Tech. Stay safe, take care, and wash those hands.